Zach with 40 Ounces of Freedom. I'm here with Eddy Torres. You've seen him at CFFC events, Fury Grappling events, and most recently, UFC Fight Pass. As well as YouTube like crazy recently. Let's start back with, you returned to the cage back in December. You had a year away from the cage due to situations the year prior.
Yeah.
And then just lack of competitors or whatever happened.
Yeah.
Let's start with the return to the cage. Great event. Sadly did not go the way you would have wanted.
Yeah.
Was that, I don't want to say ring rust, because a year's not ring rust, and you're always training. Yeah. So it's not like you weren't training. Anything stand out to you, like of what went wrong in that one?
No, he can beat me. I mean, it's as simple as that. He beat me. I mean, it is what it is. You know what I mean? There's no excuses. There's no shoulda, coulda, woulda. You know what I mean? He won. You know, all respect to him. You know what I mean? He did what he had to do to win the fight. And if I was on his shoes, I would have done the same thing. You know what I mean? I'm going to do whatever I can do to win the fight. You know, he was just the better man that day. And that was that, you know. It's just hard trying to find people to fight me at 45. So I moved up a weight class. You know what I mean? And took the risk, and it didn't pay out, but I still have fun. I still went out in the third round. I still said, let's go. I tried to hit him with big shots. I didn't give up 1 second. You know what I mean? So I can sit here and make a million excuses why I didn't win the fight, but the reality is I lost the fight. So, yeah.
I mean, first career loss, it's a learning experience for everyone. Everyone experiences it eventually. Yeah. Unless you're fighting, let's just say you pad your record a little bit and you just fight the easiest ways out. Let's go back to, you mentioned how it's hard to find fights at 45. I do know several people who were asking for fights with you at 45. I don't know if it never went to you. I know the current featherweight champion at CFFC. He has asked since October 2020.
It was never.
It was
never used.
That's what I figured.
It was never brought to me. Any contract that they ever sent me, I signed it. The last person that I was supposed to fight was Blake Builder, that's in the UFC right now, and I said yes to him. You know what I mean? Make weight and then tested positive for COVID. I'm not going to turn down a fight against anybody. I don't care who it is. Anybody they send me with a contract, I signed it. So if they would have sent me the current champ or whoever it was, I would have signed it. That contract was never sent down to me. So, you know.
Yeah, I think when I first talked to Jose, that really started when I believe he was first getting started with CFFC. At that time, you were already established there. It wouldn't have made sense then. And then I don't know if after the Blake issue, it was, were you moving up to back, or it's just not let's not say up to, because you were returning back to lightweight. You were at
so I always been
lightweight prior.
So here's a little backstory. Mm-hmm. I was always a 45er. So I went to Mississippi to fight at 45. From my flight from Philadelphia to South Carolina, I think it was, my opponent changed. My opponent backed out. So then they told me, hey, you're fighting at 55. So I'm like, okay, whatever. So I start drinking Pedialyte. I'm already on weight. And they call me back. It's like, no, your fight's back down to 45. That guy backed out. So then I'm in the airport doing sprints, trying to get the 2 pounds that I just gained on. We get to Memphis, and they were like, well, your fight's back up to 55. So then I fought 55. My next fight, my opponent was like, hey, I'm not making 45. Can we do it at 50? So I say yes. So all these weight classes I have fought is not because of my decision. I've always been on weight. So the weight changes last minute. So then I'll fight, 55. After the Blake fight, I tested positive for COVID. I went right back, came back home, tested negative for COVID, which is, this whole crazy thing. Within the week, I get back to training. I had a bad injury. Pushed me out. You know what I mean? This injury now is getting healed up. You know what I mean? It was a very bad injury. You know, not to put a lot of information out there, but it was a very bad injury. Most people wouldn't have fought this fight with the injury that I have, right? I still took up the challenge, went up a weight class. And this is why I haven't fought in so long. I've been rehabbing a bad injury. So that's just a little background. I always fought 45. In Muay Thai, I fought 43. So, you know.
Okay. Yeah, I just know I was told, I heard, or not here, I pulled your Tapology, and I kept seeing 155s. So at Atlantic City, I was like, everyone was saying it's his debut at 155, and I was like, he has been at 155. Yeah. I just know in CFFC, you were mainly a 45. Yeah. I mean, you were on the task to, and you were scheduled to fight for the belt. And then, like you just said, you tested positive, and sure enough, I mean, you were 2 weeks later at Fury.
Yeah, and I competed at Fury,
so,
and I actually took that match with a bad injury. Well, besides the point, Yeah,
and I mean, you could tell something was probably a little off in that one too, because that rear naked came pretty much out of nowhere, but that is also Caceres' style.
Yeah.
So, you know, we get there, we go through the whole year. Would you say like 70% back in December?
For my last fight, I was there. I was close to it. I mean, in March, I will be 100%. That's for sure. March, I should be back in the cage. And, you know, Lifeman, Trina Lisco, I got all these doctors that are doing their job. And I got all these people behind me now that are doing their job. And my injury feel like it didn't even happen. You know what I mean? So
that's perfect. So, that's great.
In March, I will be 100%. Yeah.
All right. And you're already hinting at one of my next questions, so we can start heading towards March now. I have a feeling it's probably with someone that you interacted with at the Fury 6 weigh-ins.
No, he hasn't signed the contract. I have signed 2 contracts already trying to fight this individual, and he hasn't signed the contract. So it's just like, what games are we playing? He's sitting here and tells interviewers, oh, I'm done talking to him into his pen and paper. First of all, you should have talked about me in the first place, and then you would have never got punched in your face. That's number one. Number two, I put pen and paper already twice. He hasn't. So I'm not going to wait on him. He's a nobody. He's never main event any show. He gets paid 800. He's talking about he sells out clubs and appearances. Like, nobody knows who he is. Nobody has an idea. He's the first fight of the night. I'm the main event of the night. Like, we are 2 different brackets. You know, this individual goes into a jiu-jitsu tournament saying, no leg attacks. Like, what? Like, what are we doing? What we got to cater to this dude? He's a nobody. He's literally a nobody. He won what? Some good tournaments in wrestling? Okay, good for you. But then what? What else have you done? You haven't done nothing. You haven't made nothing out of yourself. You use a bum looking for clout. And then when you talk about people, some people don't say nothing back to you, and that puff up your chest. But you met the wrong one. You know, because I'm not going to argue with him back and forth on social media. So when I saw him face to face, he was trying to be friendly and be my friend. And I just don't get down like that. You know what I mean?
I get it. So March, should we expect a different person across the cage?
100%. He's not signing the contract. Okay. He's not signing the contract.
Yeah, I know. Talking to him about it, I know he was, I don't want to say against 2300, but he was really focused on Atlantic City. But, I mean, if the promotion's in Philly, the March 31st and April 1st, they're not going to move it for one fight.
Let's think about this for 1 second. He lives closer to Philly than he does closer to AC. That's where he's from, right? That's one. Two, I'm not from here. I'm from Allentown, PA, which is an hour and a half away from Philadelphia. He doesn't want to fight in Philly because his own people don't like him. That's the truth. Anybody that was a Cage Fury, he was getting booed by his own people. Everybody was booing him. The Rutgers team don't like him. He talks shit about his own Rutgers team. They did nothing but make that kid a better wrestler. And what he does, turns his back on the Rutgers team. He trained a bunch of gyms in New Jersey. What he does, turn his back on a bunch of gyms in New Jersey. He's just a scheme artist. He's, you know, like, we talk about fighting on your hometown. We can fight in Florida. We can fight anywhere. It's a fist fight. What are we talking about? The crowd can fight for you. What are we talking about here? Like, you know, he's a child. He's a child looking for, I don't know. He targets people that are on top of the game. You know what I mean? And he talks shit to us like we're not going to address him when we see him. You know what I mean? Like anybody that says anything about me, when I see you, we will address it face to face. I don't care who you are. I don't care who you're with. He tried to say people trying to jump him. He had more people there than I did. It was just me and Andre. He had like 8 hoodlums with him. What are we talking about? Who was trying to jump you? You're making excuses because you got punched in your face and you froze. Okay? I don't care if you're with 100 people. I don't care if you're with the cartels. You punch me in my face, we're going to fight right there on the spot. I'm not going to freeze up. Ain't nobody going to hold me back. We're going to fight. Right? He's not about that. He's talking about getting me paid. How can you get me paid? I have more money than you. How can you get me paid? You're nobody. If I want good challenges. All you're gonna do is try to wrestle me. That's all he's gonna do. What else he wants? Like I told Rob Haydock, I said, let's make the first round all wrestling. Second round, let him start on my back. And the third round we can do MMA. If that makes him better, he wants his uncle to be the judges, his aunt to be the ref. What else do he want? You know what I mean? Like, what are we talking about here? The kid makes no sense. You know what I mean? Like, he's delusional. He called out Andre Petrosky. He called out Sean Brady. And they turned him down. That's what he's saying, telling the people. He's like, bro, nobody believes you. You think the number 5 guy will turn you down? You're nobody. You think Andre Petrosky is going to turn you down and take on OSP? You're nobody. You're nobody compared to these people. You're nobody, period. You know what I mean? So I hate that we are almost, like, think about this. When I grew up, you get punched in your face, you get no credit. If you get punched in your face and you don't do nothing, you get no credit. This kid is famous for getting punched in the face. I mean, what? Like, what are we talking about? You know, so.
Yeah. I mean, we're speaking, I just saw a clip of it from MMA Focus on YouTube. It's 9.2 million views at this point.
Yeah.
On just that one channel. That's not counting Phil Rowe's video, the other 30 who've posted it. I can say me just sharing the second bout agreement within 2 days is almost at 10,000 views.
Yeah.
It really stood out a little bit going through the numbers the other day. I know it's a fight that everyone wants to see now because Fight Pass is even pushing, let's call it the pro wrestling approach to it. They're really boosting it up. I mean, it helps having CM Punk there as well. Then you're really bringing in the wrestling approach. But I know, I did just say, I was on with Jake Noecker yesterday. And after our call, I mentioned him too. I said, you know, when I first met you, you reminded me of people I grew up with. So when I saw what happened at the weigh-ins, I said, I understood. Looking at other interviews with you, I realized you were like people I grew up with. I say were because you definitely turned your life around. You don't own the gym you're in right now because of what you did prior. You don't own the coffee shop. You don't own the cars. You don't own all that because of what you used to be. But the personality was still there. Someone says something, you at least come up and let's talk it out. I know with the video, I was a little, with the whole, are you going to jump me and throw me off? Because I thought that was Arias with you guys. Because you could tell it's Andre, because Andre is huge. But then you also see Rob, Uncle Rudy, and Jonathan come up. Like, what's going to happen with that crew next to you? You know, Jonathan did what we all expected him to do. Pull you aside, try to pull you back, because if it was more than the punch, it would have been an issue. I think everyone understands that. It is a commissioned event. It is the whole 9. I was actually shocked to see you in the arena the next day. But I think I even saw you come up, and I want to say you apologized to Uncle Rudy. I know you said something to Uncle Rudy when you first got there.
100%. Here's the thing with me, right? I don't regret punching that kid in the face. Not a little bit. The only thing, a couple of things I regret. One, I should have hit him again, but that's besides the point. The only thing I regret is my behavior after the punch. I should have just walked away. He didn't do nothing, just walk away. The problem is with these people nowadays, they don't understand. Like, I worked so hard not to be that person. I worked on myself for years not to be that person, And I hate that person came out, And I did apologize to Aries. I apologize to Jonathan, Rob. I apologize to everybody. They know me. They know that's not my character to do anything like that. So they knew this dude must have done something for me to come out of character like that. I respect everybody. I respect all my opponents. I respect all fighters. I don't care who they are. I have never been on social media talk shit about anybody. I've never gone on social media and blast fighters or none of that. I mind my business, right? And I respect everybody. Even if they don't respect me, even if they don't like me, I still show respect. I'm not going to go out my way to disrespect people. So they knew this individual must have done something to take me out of character, And that's and the crazy part is that people don't see the thing that led to that. People don't realize, like, if I wanted to sucker punch them, I could have. I was sitting right next to him the whole entire time. He was sitting here, I was sitting here. I was looking at him the whole entire time. He wouldn't even look at me. I was sitting by myself, right next to him and his other teammate, whoever else was next to him. I got up. I went up to him. I tapped him in the shoulder and I was like, yo, get up. Well, what happened? I was like, do you know me? No, I'm just trying to get you paid. That's what he tells me. You're trying to get me paid. If you're trying to get me paid, I don't know how, first of all, how you're going to do that. Second of all, you just don't go on social media and run your mouth about me. You don't know me, You're not Conor McGregor. You don't get pay-per-view points. We don't get winning bonus. We don't get none of that, So I'm the one that grabbed him by his shoulder like a child and stood him up. That's when Phil Rose was like, whoa, it's about to go down. Because I was telling him, he was like, I'm trying to fight you in the cage. I said, we can fight now and we can fight in the cage, but we're going to handle this like men. Don't change the energy now. Now, whatever you say on social media, say it to my face. Let's take this walk. No. And then when people come around, that's when he kind of starts moving his hands a little too much. His eyes were watery, like he wanted to cry. That's the honest truth. Those are the facts, right? And people don't realize that. And people go on social media and they, oh, that was a sucker punch, that was a sucker punch. It's not a sucker punch. The only way that becomes a sucker punch is, number one, Richie is a sucker. So I punched him, so that's a sucker punch. That's the only way that becomes a sucker punch. Me and him was face to face. He went to push me. I'm not going to allow you to put your hands on me. Not a shot. So I ducked you out, and then he short circuit, started going gang side. He's never been punched in the face, So, that's the video, That's the video that made him famous, Him getting punched in the face. It's crazy to me. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, looking at it outside of the video, he has 3 good fights with Titan. But outside of that, it is the wrestling pedigree that put it up there.
Let me ask you something.
So,
who he fought for Titan? Give me their names.
And I only know some of them because I just recently watched them before my interview with him.
What was their record?
Outside of one of them, they were pretty new. 1-0, 2-0, 2-1.
Before the guy that was
I did have it on another screen, but I just closed it before this call.
So that's what I mean. What are we talking about here? You know what I mean? I fought everybody. Short notice. They switched my opponent. I fought anybody. I didn't care. And I'm still like that. Any name they send me, I don't look at the name. They send me a contract. I sign the contract. That's that. He doesn't do that. He doesn't do that. He wants hand-picked opponents. That's what he wants. But go ahead, brother. My bad. I interrupted you. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, you're good. Yeah. I know, that's what shocked me with the whole, the Atlantic City being a requirement. I like the fact that Atlantic City, December was my first time to the AC show. I thought it was actually, Rob was right. It is a show you have to check out. And, but I've talked to people who have come to 2300 and said you get the same feeling there as you do at any other venue.
100.
And growing up in the area, I was more south of where you grew up from. I was out in Levittown, out by the other side of Philly. But 2300, it holds value to me. I grew up on ECW. Yeah. So that venue, it held something to me. So I'm always biased there anyway. So when I go there, like, I still geek out when I see the ECW posters, the ECW, like, graffiti in the bathrooms, like, the small little things that are hidden throughout the arena geek me out. And I just know, especially when you look back at, like, CFFC 112, that arena was sold out. There was a legit sell. I had to park up the street heading up to IKEA because there was no parking anywhere near it. And, I mean, that was a night where even I brought my kid with me to a lot of the events, and she even looked over. She goes, "It is hot in here." Like, we were sticking to the seats because it was just that. And I said, now, if you put a fight in there that is as promoted as this one would be, you're going to get the same feeling there as you would in AC, if not better, because AC is an actual arena. You're going to have, like, the stands, and 2300, you're there on the floor with everyone. It's all right there. Parks is in between. I like Parks for the seats. Like, that's where in there, I don't know how it is on inside the cage, but 2300, it just made sense to me. That's why I even brought up to him, I said, would you fight in Tampa? Like, if that was offered? Because I also didn't see these. I didn't see Rob and the guys wait until March for the first event of the year. I know Rob kind of hinted that it might not be March, might be one in between, but I was like, that's why I threw it out there. Tampa, he's in Florida, so at that point you're kind of going to his ground.
I don't care.
And I mean, you fought in Tunica, you fought in
all over. I
Tampa.
Virginia. People realize I also fought Muay Thai. I fought in other I fight anywhere. It's a fist fight, you know, with a little bit of a lot of grappling if I fight him, but it is a fist fight with some grappling. It is. I don't know what this kid is thinking. You know what I mean? Like, he wants everything catered to him. We'll fight in Florida. We'll fight at his gym. I mean, he can fight at my gym. We can meet somewhere in between. I don't care. I mean, where I'm from, listen, this is nothing. This is a fist fight. Winning or losing is irrelevant. I lost real things in life. This is a fist fight. What are we talking about? You know, he acts like Sean Shelby is going to be, look at these two guys. Let's get them in let's fight in Vegas. Like, they're not going to do that. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not waiting for you. You are nobody. You know, if Sean Shelby calls me, he's like, look, guys, let's do it in Vegas. But then, yeah, I'll wait for him. Why not? But it just doesn't outweigh, it doesn't do anything for me to wait for this dude. It doesn't do anything for me. What am I going to do? I'm going to give him the spotlight of him for the first time ever fighting in the main event. That's what I'm doing. He doesn't do anything for me.
Yeah, and if you want the Sean Shelby eyes or the Mick Maynard eyes or the Dana White eyes or any of those decision-maker eyes, you need to also bite when the iron's hot. And that was my whole thing, too, when all this started circulating. I was like, wherever March is, it should be wherever that is. Because you don't get unless you're at the UFC level, you don't get shows made for you. You know, they don't go to, I mean, we have not had a UFC Philly card in over almost 1,200 days. Yet the UFC, we now have a roster of almost 10 fighters from Philly. And if you expand to the tri-state, we can fill an entire 100%. Card. But no, we have MSG, the Barclays Center, and when we don't even go to Jersey or Baltimore anymore. It's New York or Florida. So the fact that you both have ties to the Philly area, Allentown, if you talk to anyone out of state, they might know Allentown, but you're going to say Philly. No matter who you talk to out of state, we just eat cheesesteaks and hang out at the Liberty Bell. That's all we do. And Tom's River. At that point, okay, Tom's River, it's Atlantic City, any of the Jersey Shores, or Philly. Like, to me, the Philly cards made sense, especially it's a back-to-back card, which means there's going to be a lot of eyes on it to begin with.
And that's where I punch him in the face.
I joked already because I know there's
Think about it. What better revenge? If you want revenge, I punch you in the face in Philly at the 2300 arena. Like, what more revenge can you get? Does the pot get any sweeter? You know what I mean?
Especially with everyone doing the promotion for both of you. I mean, I know you're both hopping on. You both hopped on with me now. You hopped on with TJ DeSantis. I was shocked to see that was only 2 interviews from his end. I was also shocked to see that I was listed as the last time he was going to talk about you. I was shocked to see that because I thought it also made sense to keep rolling with the interviews until the fight happened.
The problem is he can't talk anymore because the facts are out there. You see, once I put up that contract up and he didn't sign his, what else can he say? What else can he say at that point? I didn't sign the contract. Is that what he's going to say? Right? He has nothing to say. He said, I'll beat him in the bike. I'll beat him in the... Like, no, you can't. No, you can't. You're literally... You're one of the dumbest person I ever seen in my life. Like, your videos, your social media, everything is just like this kid just has one brain cell and he's struggling. Like, you can't beat me anywhere. You can't beat me at tic-tac-toe. This is why he's saying he's done talking about me. Because the facts are the facts. And the facts are, I signed the contract and he did it. What can he say? He can't say anything else. You know what I mean? Rob came here and was like, look, Eddie, this is the other contract. I didn't look at the numbers. I didn't look at nothing. I said, is that, then, oh yeah, let's sign it. I signed it right in front of a whole bunch of people. You know, I was not even supposed to come into the gym that day. Hey, Eddie, I'm at your gym. I'll be there. Got there, signed the contract, shook some hands, went in the gym, got me some coffee, went back home. Like, what are we talking about here? Like, this dude is, like, he's delusional, honestly. He's delusional, so.
Yeah, and as far as the contract signing, I can say I've heard that from, not in this situation, but pretty much any other previous fight, that you don't really ask. I'm not going to say you're a company man, but you're a company 100%. Man. Rob and them reach out to you, you're going to do it. A lot of people, when they, for example, like I said before, you just experienced your first loss in December. A lot of people don't want to come back right away. You have look at the other example, like Paul Capato. He just had his first loss last March. And I have a feeling he's on his way back now, but we're talking a whole year at this point. And a whole year, I'm not a fighter, so I can't say I don't believe in ring rust, but I feel a year with you still training, the rust isn't there. If you sat on your ass for a year, maybe. Yeah. But once you get, then you're also not going to take a fight if you're sitting on your ass for a year. You're going to at least get back in shape and make sure you're ready, because it's a fight. Things can go wrong. 100%. Things can go really wrong.
100%. I'm ready to get back, man. I'm ready to get back in March. God willing, get back in there in June. I'm trying to rack off at least 4 to 5 fights this year and continue to push forward, And that's that. If this Hoodlum wants to fight, we can fight. But I'm not waiting on him. He's a nobody. You know what I mean? Why would I wait on him? Why he does for my career?
And see, the March thing even makes even more sense, because with the promotion behind it from everyone, you guys fought in March. That lines up pretty well with Contender Series.
Yeah.
And if you have the promotion, I'm not gonna saying they pull a 112 and put this one free on Facebook to get even more eyes at it, but it's safe to say if they have TJ DeSantis and all reaching out for you for extra rounds, that there's eyes on this fight already. Like, as soon as the call out happened at Fury 6, like, the Fight Pass Twitter account basically was like, the fans want it, Richie wants it, Eddie wants it, Rob, like, make it happen.
And Rob did try.
So
Rob literally tried. Well, I don't know what else he wants Rob to do. Rob literally tried his best. Rob is like trying to get this kid to fight, with all his demands. But he's putting expectations so high that he knows nobody's going to give him that. The UFC is not going to give you that. You know what I mean? But he does it because he doesn't want to fight.
Yeah, because, the March, like I said, it just makes so much more sense. Fight in March. high eyeballed event.
Yeah.
Winner most likely gets a Contender Series
Yeah.
invite. We've seen what happened with Contender Series invites. Blake Builder got the invite. He went in, won the first round. He's now on UFC Perth.
That's one, not to get off subject, but that's one individual I'm super happy for. You know, because that kid,
You have to be.
That kid literally signed the contract to fight me where nobody will sign it. He said, "Yeah, I'll fight him," and he was ready to rumble, and I knew he was going to test my limits. I knew we was going to go in there and give the fans a good ass fight, and I'm happy for him, man. I'm literally like, I'm stoked for that kid. I hope he gets to the championship in the UFC and becomes a champ. 100%. That's somebody I respect, somebody that I'm happy for. You know what I mean? And
especially when you look at the fact that when your test came back positive, he could have bowed.
Yeah.
It wasn't on him. I mean, he would have been giving up a title shot, but he just said yes to the next person.
A dog, man. He's a dog. That kid is a dog, man. Hopefully,
and
in the future, me and him can get some training in. You know.
Yeah, I've heard great things about the kid too. My first episode was with Aaron Lafarge. They trained before. Aaron has said the same thing. The kid he doesn't quit. Yeah. But I mean, look at the other Contender Series too. I'm going to say a name that you know, Joey Pfeiffer. He went in there, should have won the first fight. Probably should have won it. Obviously, pitched his arm in that one Ray. Came back in and beat an LFA champion. Easy. And then, the first debut, a great debut booking. And now no one's calling him out.
No, I'm trying to tell you, nobody wants that sauce, man. Nobody wants that. Nobody wants that.
And that's a guy who he has Dana White blessing. Or, you can call it the Dana White privilege. I forget who called it, but you can call it that. Like, if you beat Joey on an actual card, it's going to boost you. That's a fight to call out. I mean, look at his reception at Fury. Everyone knows his arm. People forget that he's a wrestler and has done grappling.
Judo.
And he
Jiu-Jitsu. The kid is a monster, man.
And the dude schooled Eric for the entire round, the entire duration.
And Eric is huge.
And Eric is like, I was lucky enough to get a picture right in front, and even Eric shared it because it was just one of those, like, it just came out so great, and it really showed, like, Joe is full rounded. Yes, so, but I mean, yeah, March makes sense to me. I think regardless of who ends up in across from you, it's very, I mean, it could be Joe Nobody, which I know you're not going to fight Joe Nobody in a main event, but it's going to be someone of value. Is it going to be at 145 or 155?
Yeah, I'm waiting on options.
Has that been decided yet?
I'm waiting on options. If somebody signs at 45, I'll fight at 45. Nobody signs at 45, I'm moving up to 55. So, I mean, I even offered to fight at 70. So, I mean, so, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of options out there. I think regionally, these guys have... I don't wear the stuff just because it's warm and comfy, and my house is freezing right now. It's I support them through and through. It's a little biased also. They're the regional guy. They're my local crew. The other Philly promotion is a little more amateur based. It's nice. There's some guys over there that I think shouldn't be there. You should probably be with these guys instead, but you sign with who you sign with. But March 30, I'm assuming March 31st is the day that you're on. Which is nice because if the names I'm hearing are on that card is going to be insane already. I know there's some back and forth between who's on March 31st, who's on April 1st, because you don't want to go all in on one day, especially like on a Friday card versus a Saturday card, and so on. But I know I'll be there. I'm at all the Philly and I think now Atlantic City. That's why I said when I messaged you, I said, every time I met you, it has been cordial. I think one time I even just like nodded and you literally walked across the room to a nobody that you knew. But because I knew who you were, you came over, asked how I was and all thing. And I was like, no, and that's the kind of guy you want as a main event. You want that person who you roll deep anyway. Anyone that was at Atlantic City, your entire team was there. And I think everyone knew who you were outside of you being the main event at that card. I think it took me about 30 minutes to get out of the lobby to get up to my room, which was, it was nice because, there's people in your crew that I haven't personally met, or I met and I was just, catching up on, but it was one of those, like, you roll deep, and it's safe to say, regardless Friday or Saturday at 2300, it's going to be a very heavy I don't want to butcher. Is it Taino?
Yeah.
Taino. It's gonna be very heavily backed from the youngest crew in your kid classes. Who I love the fact that I think the past 2 grappling events you were on, plus this last fight night, I was able to sit next to a couple of your little kid classes, and they geek out as hard as anyone else. I think it's gonna be a great card, and regardless of who it is, I mean, if you want 45, I know a couple people who want the name. I don't know why they're not expressing it to people who offer the fight at that point. I know, like I mentioned, Jose. I know there's Bout Santiago, who's also on a roll. I think that fight would be amazing. I don't know. You guys are pretty close in, I think, experience right now too.
I know.
Because
Jose,
of your,
and all the respect to the other kid, I don't know him. I know Jose. I seen him fight. I think Jose is a great fighter. It will be a good matchup for me because he's forward pressure. He doesn't run. He doesn't force the. It's weird because he doesn't force the grappling. He goes in there and strikes with strikers, and if the grappling happens, he takes advantage of it. Which it will be a great fight. I mean, for me. But yeah, if he doesn't get the call to the UFC, I mean, he wants to fight, we definitely can make that happen. You know what I mean? The other individual, again, no respect to him, I just don't know him. You know what I mean?
He's a little newer to the promotion.
I don't even know.
He's been on.
I don't even watch fighting, which is weird, but yeah.
You hear that a lot, though. A lot of fighters don't watch it anymore, unless you have I'm sure you watch an Andre Petrosky card and so on. You watch it to support. It's not so much watching as it's Saturday. What else is there to do? Let's throw it on. Let's pay $80 to watch maybe 3 good fights. But yeah, it's been great. Definitely answered all the questions I had. I think at this point, I think everyone should be ready to see you March 31st at the 2300 Arena, which I was glad to hear it was not Parks. I heard the initial rumors was back-to-back at Parks, and that was a little annoying on my end. 2300. Are you still up in Allentown? You're over in Jersey now, right?
My businesses are in Jersey. Yeah.
Because I'm from 2300 up to Allentown, I'm pretty much west. I'm out in the New York area. So that extra half an hour to Parks was just like, let's not do that. Like, I can do back-to-back at 2300, but that extra hour, or I guess 2 hours round trip, was a pain. But yeah, I'll be there. My kid will be there. I usually try to bring at least someone new with me each time, because I always say experiencing it in person is so much different. And for the price, like the price of a front row at these events is nosebleeds at UFC. At that point, watch it at home on your couch. Like your views me better. And I always enjoy the fact that, the regional guys, you get to hang out and meet people like yourself before and after. I mean, you're an easy one to spot. I think the best dressed fighter in MMA. I know, like, it got to the point where even at a couple events where you were just in like street clothes, my kid was like, "What is he doing?" Because she's used to you being in the suits and. But yeah, anything else you want to say? Any sponsors you want to shout out? Anything?
Third Boys, Royally Grown, J&J, Albert Soler, Luz Gozo, RK, Noble Nation, Fuel Hunt. You know what I mean? Yeah, that's about it.
Awesome. And let's get Taylor back in the cage again.
There's some big news coming on soon, so we are waiting to get an opponent for her, but she's ready to go.
Awesome, because I believe she did a fight for Art of War before, so I was pretty excited to see her get on CFFC card. I've been kind of harping for women to get back in the cage with these guys for a while. It pretty much kind of shuttered after Elise Reed got the call up. I then realized there's not much in this region. So I was pretty excited, when Taylor was in the card, and I was like, of course, it's Tunica, Mississippi, in the middle of nowhere. I was like, oh, I'll watch that one at home. I'm not going to fly down just to catch one fight. But no, and you have someone else in the gym too, is with the CFFC guys too, don't you?
Riley Palmer is actually fighting, making his pro debut the day after. We got Cam Scalio. Now we have a bunch of guys that are making the transition. Riley actually just moved to Florida. He's an American top team. But he's a kid to be on the lookout for. And Ken Scalio is, I mean, this kid take fights with he just had his shoulder reconstructed, but he was taking fights with a shoulder that just pops out and was winning. So wait till you see the new up-and-coming fighters are coming out of the Hansel Gracie, Philadelphia, John Marquez, Team Taino, Jonathan Webb. We have some killers coming out.
Yeah, I can co-sign on Riley. I've seen, I believe, 2 of his past amateur fights. I believe he was on the 112 card as well. I think he was before the Luke Fernandez title fight. And that kid, that was one when I saw the pro signing. That was one that was actually announced more publicly than some others that you at least follow the fighter themselves. That was one that I was like, hey, it's time for him. Like, I'm excited for that one. I mean, I just had Luke Fernandez too. That's another one. He was supposed to be on the December card with you. So yeah, I know. I only knew of you and Taylor, and then I recently saw, like, I thought it was Riley, but I wasn't sure throughout. So it's always, and I know you guys all do the circle too. Like you just said, Marquez and Daniel Gracie and all that. So, but no, looking forward to March. Definitely April as well. I'm sure now at that point you're going to be at both events 100%. Regardless, because you're always there anyway, but especially when you have fighters on the card. So awesome. Appreciate your time again. Definitely went double what I said. So awesome. Appreciate it. Thank you very much.
God bless you.